Welcome to the couch.
We're on the
With
couch.
us today, we have Joshua
What up, homies?
and we have Duff.
Hey.
Couple questions we didn't get to during the podcast, so let's get right into it, shall
Okay.
we? Joshua, you made a great point that happiness is not the goal. Happiness is the way. And I've always gone by that philosophy. You know, if you're trying to pursue happiness, you're not going to find it. You have to meaningfully pursue something worth pursuing. And as a sign that you're doing the right thing or that you're on the right track, you will be happy. And so it's strange that happiness as an emotion, although it seems to be the motivator for so many things, is actually just like a byproduct. It's like a side effect of you doing the right thing or doing something meaningful. Let's start off with the evolutionary implications of that. How did we evolve this happiness as a litmus test for our course of our lives? And, you know, the psychological adventure of the modern world is not something most of evolution has tackled. And yet, happiness fit right in to making it work.
That is a great question, and I'm not entirely sure I know. But I definitely feel like there's something about, I don't know, like there's just the environment provides you with all these different supports, and when you have a happy experience, somehow it supports your motivation or...
Yeah, well, I'd say, part of the evolutionary aspect is human beings being social mammals existing in tribes. We're happier when we're supporting the tribe, when we're acting in a pro-social manner, when we're sharing our spoils of our hunt, these sorts of things, versus, stealing the whole carcass for yourself. So I think there's an element of happiness comes from supporting others and being what we actually are, which is this social creature, and supporting each other.
Maybe we could also trace that back into the labyrinth of micro behaviors that we have, because somehow really there must have been an origin point for all of the emotional diversity that we have. All the different layers of emotions that we have contexts in which they really are valuable. And so really more than anything, the question is about finding modes of behavior that are effective in dealing with the circumstances that you're in and surviving to pass your offspring on,
Right.
at least in an evolutionary context.
Right, yeah. And if there's anything that human beings are good at, it's adapting to different climates. We've spread out through all the entire globe. We live in the far north and the far south, in the equator, in deserts and jungles and mountains and in the beach. We know how to adapt. We know how to be unnatural. I think that's actually our evolutionary advantage. People think of human beings as being unnatural. Well, that's how we've survived. We've been able to create unnatural habitats for ourselves so that we can live in extreme weather. We can create unnatural, cities. These massive. You talk about ecology. It's like human ecology in cities where we create these massive buildings and all this infrastructure going in and out. And it's extremely unnatural, but that's the way that we've adapted and survived and thrived as a species.
Tremendously potent inventiveness.
Absolutely.
The human species is the most inventive species of which we're aware, and the diverse eclectic of subtle alternatives that have been offered to you as far as toothpaste on the
Toothpaste options. Need
your,
more.
Your toothpaste options are very diverse indeed, and
Right.
but as much as possible, I feel like where we can step into high functioning attitudes and where we can be able to express and fully immerse ourselves in the processes that we involve ourselves with, the things that matter to us, the projects that we take on, and then maybe in an evolutionary context, it's like tribally organized behaviors where you say we need to go on a hunt. Maybe even prior to language, you already are working with this intuitive capacity to feel out into the world what is required of you. What do you need to do? And so happiness, I really think, is somehow related to being high functioning and that being high functioning is really the core thing that's being selected for. The people that you look at, the people that you admire, are people who have devoted their lives to the things that they do, and they follow out patterns of behavior that allow them to realize things that genuinely matter.